if you're someone that logged into Solo Leveling Rise and saw all of this menu here, and you saw this other one here, and you just logged in trying to play a cool new game for the first time, and you decided, nope, that's too much for me. Also, you see all these red dots, it's just too much, man. So today we're going to talk about a general overview of the game. Don't feel overwhelmed because it's really not all that bad. We're going to talk about that here today. I hope you guys enjoy. My name is D Free. We make Solo Leveling Rise content. Let's dive in. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is that the left-hand side content is stuff, pretty much all of this stuff here, if I'm being honest, is like playable on a daily basis / stuff you want to complete on a daily basis. But your menu, okay, so I guess I may be over-exaggerated a little bit, because if you're brand new to the game, you're pretty much not going to have like anything on the right side, because all this stuff is like locked towards completing certain chapters of story. So the first thing I'll tell you is story is the most important mode in the game. At least the normal story mode, push as far / as hard as you can in this. You want to make sure you're doing that. And as you do it, you want to complete as many of the chapters as possible. Try not to skip side chapters for the experience. Don't try to push through, because you'll also, by the way, you won't be able to push through to 18, like you are, which is the current top. You won't be able to do that because the game will level lock you. It'll tell you need to be a certain level to proceed. But you want to complete as much as possible, because you get these extra tickets here for the trophy completions on each stage individually, and then for completing it overall. So anyways, they won't let you push through, but push through as much as you can until you start hitting level locks, until like, I think it's around level 25 or so. Anyway. And then ultimately in the future, you probably will have the gist of it by then, but it goes without saying, when you unlock hard mode, try to push hard mode. There's a point in the game's progression where you have to go back and forth around 25 to 30, 31, 32. You're able to go back and forth. That's what you would want to do at that point. If you're at that point, you may be getting a little bit stuck on experience. Encore missions and instance dungeons, there's only one real variance here. So this is where you are getting the equipment, level 35, level 55, and level 75. Don't worry too much about level 35 gear. I mean, it's not going to be really valuable to you after about a week, outside of maybe putting it on side hunters, in which after 2 weeks, you're probably not doing that anymore either. It falls off extremely fast, so I wouldn't really recommend upgrading it too much. Maybe level 14 upgrade at max, and then when you're done with it, you salvage it off or sell it in one of the events that's sometimes ongoing. Outside of that, though, 55 pieces do have good longevity. I still wouldn't push to... Okay, so here's the deal. If you're a new player, 55 is going to be about as good as it's going to be for you for a while. Like, you're not going to be able to do much in unlocking 75s reliably. So you're going to have to work on 55s for a while. But 35s, I don't feel that way about, because I personally remember moving on pretty fast from that. Anyway, and then they have the 75s here. But again, you're not really worried about these because it's going to take a while. I can't even clear all those stages yet. And the same thing here, instance dungeons. This is Sung Jinu's version of this, where you play with him, and then the support characters. If it wasn't clear in the encore missions we were just looking at, there is no Sung Jinu. You play as side characters, and they get the job done for you. Make sure you're completing with the recommended elements as well, so you can make a easy run for yourself. Gates. Gates is the bread and butter of pretty much everything you want to do. Quick tip on this: A and S rank gates are the way to go, because when it comes to mining gates, A and S rank will drop soul essence right here, which is this game's currency, so you definitely want that. So keep that in mind. You want to run A and S if possible. You want to mine as much as possible too, because your mining level will go up. And mining is done pretty much just from completing gates. If that wasn't clear, completing gates gets them mined, and then you're good to go from there. So you see right here, it's now gonna, I can complete it instantly, but it has a little bit of a AFK mechanic to it, or you wait for it. So that's more or less this system. This system is very important because, as you see on a daily basis, you get big drops of experience here at the bottom. And if you have this pass here, that will go up for you, but just keep that in mind. But more or less, it's very important to have that. I typically reside around the top difficulty. You're not going to have all of these difficulties, obviously, as a new player. You're also not going to have all these gate keys. I think you'll have 10 or less. I'm not really sure where it exactly starts you at, but I do know that you go up slowly after 10, like 11 takes a while, so on and so forth. Anyway, so that's how that looks with gates. But again, bread and butter, because this is where you're going to get most of your resources from these stages. A lot of these resources may or may not mean a lot to you right now, but they will eventually come in handy and be useful. You're not gonna like wind up not using anything that you get here. And then again, passively, these will be dropping those soul essence. But again, like I mine this B here, it's not going to give me the opportunity to get any soul essence. So that if you're looking to farm, it's not the craziest, most reliable, but it is a way to get more soul essence in your account to help you do more summons. So the right side, Battlefield of Trials, has two modes. There's a challenge mode it's got two versions as well, where basically you're playing with the Sung Jinu and then the Hunters, which is the other side characters here. And basically this is like a tower mode, so you just kind of go up. It gets a little bit harder each time. You get more rewards as you go. Very straightforward. All right, Battlefield of Time is... Oh, I forgot to run my last one yesterday. Damn it. Okay. So this is a ranking mode. So it's a speed battle mode. So you go in, try to clear the stage as quickly as possible. You get rewards based on that, and then there's also a season reward for it too. It's pretty much almost always running, but you get rewards for this. So it's very nice to be able to do that. Your group reward is what I meant to say. So very nice. There's also another variation of it, which is challenge. It's not as sweaty, but it is still nice to get the rewards as well. We go back out of here. We go over to Power of Destruction, another mode that you can run on a daily basis. I forgot to run most of mine yesterday. You can run it twice. So you want to also make sure you're running with recommended element, but this is pretty far down the line. I think you have to clear chapter 15 for this. Again, it's another mode where this mode is more or less about how much damage you can do. They give you a time limit and how much damage you can do within that time limit, and then you get... Based on the amount of damage, you get the rewards here. So that's how this mode works, if you were wondering. Outside of here, we go and take a look at the Battlefield of Chaos. This is for gem farming. This is a pretty important mode overall. It's like a passive important kind of mode, but you know, it's very relevant. It just takes a while to get your gems to the point you want them to be. We'll talk a little bit more about gems in the future. But this mode is here so you can farm gems, which again, we'll get to in a moment. So let's back out of here, and if you haven't already, make sure you are supporting me as a content creator for Netmarble. So they do this awesome thing where you guys are able to help support me, and I am able to give you guys free soul lessons, codes, etc. So make sure you support me. If you want to get free rewards delivered directly to your in-game gift box, you'll find that link down below in the description. It helps me a ton, and if you enjoy the video, the best thing you can do to show your support, aside from YouTube related stuff like liking and subscribing, is to support me. Hopefully you do that. Link down below. All right. And by the way, it just takes a few clicks. It's obviously free to do. There's no reason why you wouldn't do it. All right. So Workshop of Brilliant Lights. So this is another piece of content that's more endgame style. But here's the deal. If you've spent a lot of money, you're going to blow through this in any of these difficulties relative to like how long you've been playing the game, obviously. You're not going to buy your way up to level because you can't buy levels. Currently, you're not gonna buy your way up anywhere crazy here yet. But ultimately, this is a mode where it's like another. Do I want to start this? I'll start it, whatever, just to show it. It's another tower style mode where you go in and you complete the stage. You farm these different pieces of gear. These gear, when you get here, this gear is really good because they're higher leveled. Level 78, level 73. The 73 ones are still really solid too, despite being a lower rarity. Rarity doesn't matter a ton. The only real difference is that you get an extra upgrade with rarity. That's the difference there. So if that was a question, yeah, try to use legendary gear, but it's not a huge difference otherwise. So the thing with this is these are like your in-between pieces. You get these 73s before you're able to really reliably get those 75s. At least that's the way it should be in the progression. You probably have already started it. By the time you're clearing this, you probably have already started those 75s. So anyway, they're very strong though. And these are, we'll talk about artifacts in a minute, but they're 8-piece artifact sets. So they work pretty, well, 2, 4, 8. They work pretty well depending on how you build your team. So it's another tower mode, but this one's a little different because they've got this like, this, I don't know what to call it in this game, but they've got these, they're called blessings, but basically when you clear these side stages, burning overpass, burning square, you fight these stages, you complete them, and they give you a chance to get various things. Like, for example, I can't show you any blessings here. Damage increase, decrease the opponent's defense. Like, it's just, like, you've seen that before in any other gacha games if you played them, where they give you various effects, right? So that's more or less what they're doing. And it's not like a permanent effect. It's only for the duration of your raid against that boss. So this one here is scheduled to be updated. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. They still haven't revealed that. This bottom one here is just a ticker for any ongoing events, apparently. So this is currently our ongoing event where they want us to do some stuff. And they have other mini games in some of these. Like they've got this rock, paper, scissors mini game, which does have rewards. This will also change depending on when you're watching the video. They've just got mini games and stuff here. I haven't even bothered with this. Oh, look at little tank. Chibi Tank is so cool. So anyway, that's more or less what this whole menu looks like. So hopefully that was helpful. Let's get out of here and let's talk about some more stuff. Sung Jinu's mode is Sung Jinu. Very self-explanatory. Left side is his stat table. You get to describe how you want to build him as you get the ability points for leveling him up. Ultimately, though, strength is the best build. There is some niche uses for switching some of the other stuff around. Like, I think in full intelligence is the way to go for, like, the guild boss, which we'll talk about in a moment. In fact, probably next. This is his skills page. Each skill has its own designated runes you can put on to have various other effects. So, like, this is Commander's Touch, but I could do a bunch of different things. They all have their own different descriptions, so depending on what you're trying to do, you could do that. Some of these buff you, some of these debuff the opponent, some of these have different hitboxes. A lot of them, well, pretty much all of them have different hitboxes. Some of them have synergy with a different skill or ability where they, like, can trigger other abilities, cooldowns to go down, things like that. So you really have to kind of play with that. This is his ultimate slot. Again, same type of deal there. Blessing Stones, these are just extra passives you can apply to Sung Jinu because he doesn't by default have any passives. So you can give him 4 passives, and this is his version of that. And you get to choose what they are. As you see, they have different rarities, blue, purple, and yellow. I'll just call them by the colors, but you can see legendary, rare, and heroic. As you go up in rarity, the effects do get better, obviously. But all of them are available in all different rarities. All right, so moving on from that, we see on the right side his stat distribution. You can click this as well to see how things look. And these are the weapons he has. So these, when you click that, you're able to change his weapons. So obviously pretty self-explanatory with that. This is another look at his skills page if you wanted to do that, change around his skills. You can even hit preview to see how they look. Like I said, a lot of these have different feels or aesthetics to them. Artifact page, this is where you can see all the different stats that are applied to him and the various artifacts that are equipped. I talked about it a moment ago, but artifacts have set effects. So 2 set, 4 set, 8 set is on the burning sets, which I don't have it applied, so I wasn't getting it. Expert does have 4 as well. Currently, this is the best build for Sung Jinu, in my opinion anyway. 4 Expert on the right side, and then left side being 4 Burning Curse. That'll obviously change in the future as you watch the video, maybe 6 months from now or something, right? So anyway, that's how things look for him. And this same exact page does apply to all the other characters. You can see the stat effects and all that stuff with their artifacts and stuff. So make sure that you're not putting a bunch of random equips on. I think the auto equip is much better now about this for other characters for the most part, but try not to put a bunch of randoms on, because unless they have 2 sets, maybe you can do 4 2 sets or something like that, but I wouldn't do that. I'd lean more heavily into the 4 sets a lot of the times, but sometimes there's some niche uses. Anyway, so one thing you could also have done prior to this, I think this is a little bit better now with the 4 set getting buffed here. But prior to this, people were doing 4 expert and like 2 armed or 2 toughness and then 2 curse as well. Like there was various things people were doing. Anyway, so my point with that was, like, if you have all 3 of these and then like some random piece in the 4th slot, your character's performance is going to go way, way down. So you want to try to have the full set effects if possible. Guild will take you to the guild menu where you have your overall guild if you've joined one. And I don't know when you unlock this because it's a new feature, but there's also a guild boss in there as well. But again, it's just a guild system. Hunters, same thing for the characters that are non-Sung Jinu. However, they have a little bit of a different spread. You can't actually manipulate their individual stats, but they do have this growth here, so you can upgrade their stats by upgrading them with the growth system there. They've also got the advancement here. This is for pulling duplicates of them. As you pull new duplicates of them, they do unlock new passives, so keep that in mind. But they do have pretty much everything else being predetermined, like their skills. You can level them up a little bit like you can Sung Jinu's as well. But they have predetermined skills. They've got predetermined passives that you unlock as you get extra stars in the character / duplicates of the character. So it's very straightforward with them. They also have their own weapon that's designated for them specifically. That gives them a couple of other things, but they don't get to equip 2 weapons. They can equip other weapons. If you want to put like a generic weapon on, you can do that too. Putting on the other hunter-specific ones does not grant them the same effect, though. It's only for the designated character, so keep that in mind as far as I know anyway. So they have a little, it's more or less the same thing, but just different customization options in that they don't really have any. So that's them. We go to the shadows here. So shadows are an interesting thing because they're not crazy relevant in this game. You can take 3 shadows into battle with you, but then the minions are also there too, but we don't really talk about the minions. They kind of just do their own thing. Shadows are interesting because they have their own ranks that you can upgrade as you get more of these shadow traces of shadow, excuse me. Be very careful with these because they are still really hard / rare to come by, and the game also is constantly adding in new shadows. As you see here, we have Blades, who is a game original shadow. So keep that in mind. They also have game original shadows. I can't wait to see, I don't want to say his name, but there's a shadow that appears in the, posted down below. There's a shadow that appears in the Jeju Island arc and is very important. That is not on Sung's team. So that's what I'll say. But he's probably going to be in this game, and it's going to be really cool to see. But you see, we also have Kaisel back there. I believe that's Kaisel, right? Anyway, there's also this thing. I think this is Lava Golem. This is another original one. So they're going to constantly add more. Serbi, original, right? They're going to add more. So there's that. Anyway, this system's interesting because they all have their own Shadow Authority, which is pretty much a passive. However, only the first shadow in your party gets their Shadow Authority applied. So don't think you can take like him with a crit hit rate increase, with Serbi with a crit hit damage increase, and have them activate their Shadow Authority at the same time together. Unless they make a change to the game, that is not how the game works, so that's not going to be a thing. So typically, Egress is the best lead shadow, and other than that, though, shout out to Matt for subscribing. If you're new, make sure you subscribe like Matt just did. Other than that, though, for the most part, it's only otherwise going to be Tusk because the core attack damage does go up. I didn't really talk about core attacks versus skills, but this is basically a skill, a variation of the basic. A question that gets asked a lot with core attacks is, how do I activate it? You don't really do anything special with it. It's just a basic attack variation that has a different animation, and it's basically a supercharged basic attack. So like once every like 5 or 6 basic hits, the character will do their core attack. That's pretty much what that is. All right, so out of here, basically right now, currently the best setup for shadows is something like this. You want to take him for the defense decrease. And then you want to take Serbi because he has combustion applied with his skill down here. So these guys, they go on the board and they do whatever. They're just like AFK. They're kind of doing their own thing. They're hitting the own enemy if possible. They don't have good longevity though. They get blown up. They don't have a good time period. The system largely just sucks. I'm not gonna lie to you. The system sucks. They tried to make, like, I don't know. They could have made it better, but they didn't really put much into it, because if they made that system much better and if they made it relevant like it was in the show, you wouldn't really have much of a need to summon for new weapons for Jinnu or new hunters, right? So they basically kept all that back. Now, we're going to go a little bit rapid fire for these next few. Weapons we kind of already talked about. Very straightforward. 2 weapons for Sung Jinnu, 1 weapon for the other guys. This is just basically a gallery of those. Artifacts. A gallery of all the artifacts you have. So very straightforward. Now, we're going to go to the shop. I mean, this is super straightforward, right? This is super straightforward. There's not a single player that doesn't know what the hell the shop is, but obviously they've got the thing where you got some freebies in here right next to some appropriately priced, depending who you ask, offers that they're trying to get you to, that they're trying to make sure you see. So go in there and get your freebie at least, right? Very straightforward. Draw, your summon system. Very straightforward. By the way, pity does transfer. So, and the way this game's pity works is you have a 50-50 chance when you're off pity to get the new guaranteed rate up character. If you do not, like say I wanted him and I did not get him, the very next time I get an SSR, it will be him. Okay? You don't have to go to this number to trigger the pity either. Say you get an SSR. The first time you pull an SSR, it's going to either be on pity or off pity, and you'll either get the 50-50 and you'll pull the character, or you'll pull something else, in which case if you lose the 50-50, the next time around it will be guaranteed to be this character. And you can also game the system, and if you wanted to just like end, like say your last SSR pulled was not this guy on this banner specifically, it was some other character, that means that the next time a rate up banner popped up, you would, the first time you got an SSR, you would get that character, the brand new character. You also could, so around 63, I think your 64th pull and onward, your pull rate goes up by, I think it's 5% every individual summon. So you could also leave it at like 60 and then do a multi and then guarantee yourself a copy of the new character on your first multi. Like you do fun stuff like that, right? So that's how the pity in this game works. Very straightforward as well. So Challenges. This is basically just a list of missions that you can complete for various rewards. Some of them are really cool, though, because sometimes there's a lot of this is just a bulk of resources, but there's also some weapons and stuff in here that are pretty useful early game, like the Shadow Scythe you can get 2 copies of at least. I'm not sure about the ones I haven't completed yet personally because I'm lagging. Missions are your daily missions to complete your dailies. Again, if you played any gacha game, that's very straightforward. So outside of that, we go ahead and take a look at achievements. These are various achievements, very straightforward as well in terms of literally the name and how they function, right? So thank you for that stuff. I got Go and I got some other stuff, so they gave me that. Cool. Not really all that relevant. Codex is just a huge library of everything. If you want to see your weapons, your shadows, you can just kind of come here. You can click on this stuff and they'll give you a full description, all that stuff. So that's how this system works. Again, it's just basically a library. So we'll now take a look at manage teams. This is where you can build your teams, save them, and manage them. I don't really use this feature much. I just change my team on a per stage basis. Bonds. This is a system where as you level up and advance with duplicates on these hunters, you do get rewards. So the incentive is here to upgrade basically every character ever released in the game, whether it's through extra duplicate copies, like I'm getting here, or through leveling up through the actual character level to get the rewards. When this system came out, and it was not here on launch, so a lot of us, well, pretty much everybody, got a bunch of stuff at once, and it was a huge dump of resources, but you won't be in that situation if you're starting now because you'll just be gradually claiming that stuff as you go. Crafting, this is where you can craft character weapons and other items. By the way, if you're wondering about crafting these legendary runes and blessings, you can't craft these unless you get a duplicate legendary. That's what this system is for. It basically allows you to re-roll it, if I recall correctly. These are more enhanced versions of some other items that are pretty much hard to get. They're almost non-existent if you don't craft them. They're pretty hard to get. This is where you craft weapons. Sometimes there's an ongoing event, as you see here. There's 2 ongoing events where you can get these little pieces to craft. The designs is what they're called, to craft the character exclusive weapons. Other than that, though, you can craft them through the resources needed. If you're ever wondering where you can get a resource, you can always click it, hit source, and it'll tell you exactly where to go. Also, outside of the crafting page, you can come over here to the fusion. This is where you fuse runes. Like, you get these powders and stuff like this. These turn into 2 blessing stones. This is how you get those blessing stone passives for Jinu that I talked about earlier. And when you get duplicates, you can kind of roll those into a chance to get another one. This is a chance to get a heroic. There is a pity system applied here as well, and then so on and so forth. When you get a bunch of heroics, you can roll them into a chance to get the duplicates anyway, a chance to get a legendary. Same thing applies to runes, and this is where the gem feature takes a while because you fuse those small gems into bigger gems and try to get a rank 4 gem, and then you equip gems, which we're almost to, so we'll talk about those in a little bit. All right, so next up is dispatch mining team. This is basically the same button here where you dispatch in the gates. You can access that from the gates. So a lot of these are kind of just like side menus that you can access from a bunch of places. Special commissions, it's a passive way to earn rewards for beating bosses. That's pretty much all this is. Defeating these bosses X number of times gives you that. You can go out and farm this if you want to, but you just get this passively because they reuse a lot of these same bosses in a lot of different pieces of content. Armory. This is a fun little system here that is pretty expensive, that I don't really recommend most players diving too deep into unless you're spending at least a little bit of money, but it takes your strongest weapons and gives you a portion of the stat. So the way that this works is my armory is giving me 53,000 power. So when you take on any piece of content, there is a recommended power, and then there's your actual team's power as well. So I can show you that here. So here's how this looks. Total power is 502. The recommended is 574. So I am technically below the recommended, and when you're below it, the number should be red. And when you're in the red, you start losing stats. It's a penalty. You can still play the stage. You can still beat the stage if you're good enough, but it's a penalty. You're in the red. The armory makes up the difference and helps you be able to exist in that red, so you're not getting penalized as heavily. That's more or less what that system is for. It doesn't show you the actual stats for armory, but again, if I were to go back in here, excuse me, and I take Amamiya off, I'm in the red now. So we're going to get hugely penalized, okay? So keep that in mind. And the first stats that go off are typically going to be like critical, things like that, which is why when we circle back to Sung Jinu, you put everything in strength. because that's not as heavily penalized. In fact, I'm not sure it's penalized at all. I think it is just a little bit, but that's about it. Hunter Preview is something I always forget to play, but it's where you can go to get it basically lets you test these characters, but it doesn't. I don't really worry about it because it doesn't really give you anything. It's just more or less to test the character if you wanted to do that. Battle tier. This is something that also passively goes up as you get your characters, artifacts, all that stuff upgraded. Your max total power goes up, and it gives you a reward for your max overall power. So the next time I hit another level, which is at 551, they'll give me these, so on and so forth. I am 29 times in, so it's another passive way to earn rewards for upgrading your team, etc. All right, gems. We finally got here. So gems is a system where there are 4 different branches. Stats are separated into these. So, like, this is additional attack. This is attack percentage, things like that. Defense is in here, precision, critical hit rate, damage. They're all mixed in here in different ways. So this is a passive way to improve your entire team. So this is what my guys are getting. All of my hunters, including and excluding Sung Jin-woo, all of the characters are getting this. So that's how this works. It's a passive system to increase your stats as well. So that's more or less what gems are. So ultimately, as you get better gems, higher rank gems, you are able to put them in there and upgrade your team. Costume Codex. This is newish. It's a look at all the costumes in the game. And you can also put the chromas on for the costumes too. That's also a relatively new feature. So you can see all the different costumes for Sung Jin-woo. You can equip them as well. And you can also buy ones that you don't have, right? Maybe not. Maybe not from here. Yeah, maybe not from here. You'd have to go to the character themselves. You can see all these from the character themselves. Maybe that's what it is. Oh, no, you can buy some of these. Okay. If you got the resource necessary, you can buy the different chromas. All right. So we're almost done. So forum, that takes you outside of the game. You just go on a forum, literally. Tutorial, it's literally a tutorial. I don't play it much. But you do get 10 every time you play it, so you should play it. You don't actually play it. You just click through. It's just me being lazy. It's just me being lazy. Oh, man. Announcements takes you to the news, so there's that. This is your gift box right here. Very self-explanatory. When you get codes like the one that I'll give you when you support me through the Content Creator Program, currently you'll be getting 1,000 Soul Essence, so make sure you support. It would be sent there. This is your inventory. So you'll sometimes have boxes that you can use and open. These are the ones I just got from the bonds system. So, oh, I got a legendary. What do we get? Oh, I don't really use this skill. This is not Cutting Rush. It's I forget the name of it. Is it Cutting Rush? I don't know. Cutting Rush is the circular one. Anyway. When the final hit lands and inflicts airborne, when landing a back attack has a 60% chance to apply a 100% crit rate on the next. Ooh, that's kind of spicy. On the next attack, dude, that's kind of spicy skill. Cutting Rush, there it is, Cutting Rush. That's kind of a spicy skill. I kind of like it. And the rate for that legendary was probably really low because the rate for the purple here is 3%. Like that was probably really, really, really good luck. I'm opening all these menus, so now hitting back does nothing. This is the battle passes. So this game has some battle passes with different tiers that offer different rewards. You're not going to unlock anything other than the common tier without spending some form of money, so just keep that in mind. All right. So this is the login calendar. Not much to do here, not much to see here. Can't really do anything with that. And the other is at the bottom to log you out, the settings. That's pretty straightforward. And then this is the events tab. So this is where you can go to see the ongoing events. Notice we saw this earlier. It's another way to get to some of these spots. But also, you see they have these other things that are ongoing here. Use the points from various events to get rewards. There's a new loyalty system here. These are new features I've never seen. Armory challenges, an old system that they have had before, but they're running it back at this point. But basically, a lot of these events they work like this, where as you get new characters, you get other things like that, as you summon more, basically. Or as you upgrade your existing characters, when it's these types of ones, or artifacts, like see right here, obtain level helmets and body armors. These are artifacts, artifact farming. As you get stuff, you get the milestone points, and then you'll get the rewards. Treasure hunt, This one is more or less as you summon, as you clear gates, as you complete certain pieces of content, you'll get the item that they give you. And then with this specific event, you can use that item here to turn these around. You get the reward. There's a big reward here, but this is basically back to, these are the designs for the character exclusive crafting that we talked about earlier. And there are other variations of events as well that are currently ongoing. All right, guys, we have mostly went through everything except for the main screen, I guess. Special summons. This is not something you need to worry about if you're not spending money and buying the special support pass. So keep that in mind. But it lets you do 30 summons, and you get to choose whichever one you want. I did this, and I got that, so there you go. But again, it does require you to spend. This is a ticker for the events. The top left is your character/player info. There we go. And up here, this is the ongoing support stuff that I have from the purchases that I made. This is another purchase opportunity. This is the system shop. They'll give you one of these every now and again. So there's that. This is your completion of trophies, which is a passive reward you'll be able to get as well. So it's nice, always nice. This is a button that takes you to the shop. This one takes you to the missions. This one takes you to your inbox. So very, very straightforward. And lastly, I'll show you guys how to redeem a code. If you are on iOS, redeeming codes is a little different. You do need to do so through either the forum. There's a enter redeem code button here. In which case, when you do that, you would copy your user ID. Right here, you take your account info, you'd copy that user ID, and then paste the code underneath it. If you're on Android/PC, you can just hit this button and redeem whatever code. So I'm going to enter a code. This one will be expired shortly after this. Like it's only going to be here for a few days, but this is a new one, so I can show you guys how this looks. So in the future, this will not work. Codes do expire pretty fast. So they gave me that. Let's go to the inbox. It's going to be sitting right here. And this is what it was. So your coupon registration reward has been acquired. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. So if you guys want to get 1,000 Soul Lessons into your box delivered directly, all you have to do is support me as a Netmarble creator on the official creator support platform. That is down below in the description. It's very straightforward, very easy to do. All you have to do is sign up, link your account. It's not anything shady or weird. It's managed by the same people that manage the game. It's going to make me log in. I'm not going to do that, but this is just the creator program for Netmarble. So it's a little bit weird, but anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed as we went through everything in this game. If this video was helpful, once again, make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe. By the way, make sure you're claiming this every day. I didn't really talk about the home screen much because there's not really much to it, and we've been loving staring at Sung Jinyu's face, but make sure you do that as well. All right, guys, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. And if you want to know more general tips about the game, there's probably a couple videos on the screen currently that are clickable that'll help you out in some way. Thank you.